Hey, what's going on there, guys? Nick here from Absolute MTG, and today we're going to be taking a look at one of the recent drafts that I did at our local card shop, Top Deck Cards and Games in Bethel Park, PA. For the most of you guys that have been following the channel for some time, you'll know that I draft more on Magic the Gathering Online, and that's where the bulk of my drafting comes from. We usually don't do a lot of drafting at our card shop. It's mainly just constructed formats that we enjoy playing and that we play very often, so anytime that we get to indulge in limited format events outside of pre-release weekends, it's pretty nice, or release weekends as well, now that I think of it. But either way, whenever we get to draft and whenever we have people that want to draft, it's always a nice experience. And I have for you guys the deck that I drafted for just a small 8-man draft that we did on our Friday night instead of playing Standard. So I ended up going with Green-White Heroic, and we are going to take a look at the deck here. So I have one Hopeful Eidolon, I have 3 Leaf Crown Dryad, because you gotta love bears that have something else on them as well. So 2/2 reach, and it can bestow for 4. 1 Revenant Hunter, so 1/1 for 3, enters the battlefield, and we put a number of +1/+1s on him equal to our devotion to green, which this is very green heavy, so we end up being able to utilize that card very well. We have 1 Nessian Cursor, 3/3 for 3, vanilla creature. We have 1 Laguna Band Elder, because we do have a pretty fair amount of enchantments in this deck, enchantment creatures and whatnot, so whenever it enters the battlefield, if we control a enchantment, we gain 3 life, which is not bad for a 3/2 creature for 3. 100-handed one, which was actually what started off this draft. That was pack 1, pick 1. And I was thinking, like, alright, well, with white, I can go a couple of different directions. Like, red-white is really good, green-white's really good, so that's a thing. And 100-handed one is just fantastic. 3/5 for 4. Vigilance, Monstrosity, 3 for 6. And as long as he's monstrous, he has reach, and he can block an additional 99 creatures each combat, which I never got to make him monstrous, but every time I played him, it was pretty nice. Just having a 3/5 creature with vigilance for 4 that just can get bigger if I go and use like pump spells or enchantments to pump him and whatnot. Nylea's Disciple, I actually ended up drafting 2 of these. One of them wheeled back to me, which was fantastic because I really wanted it. It was, I think, that or a... I can't remember. There was another green card that I was going for, and I wanted something to wheel, and out of those 2 things that would wheel, the Nylea's Disciple ended up wheeling. So it was pretty nice to have it. Anytime you're able to gain a decent amount of life back off of just the card that costs 4 mana is great, and you also get a creature out of it. But another card that plays off of our devotion to green and also adds towards our green devotion. 1 Staunch Hearted Warrior, so 2/2 for 4, and off of the Heroic, every time we target him, he's going to get 2 +1/+1 counters on him whenever we have a spell that we control that targets him, that is. We have Enthusa, Citizen Hero, which is basically just a 4/5 creature for 5. Whenever we cast a spell that targets her, we get to turn up to 3 target lands that we control into 2/2 warrior creatures until the end of the turn. I don't think I ever got the opportunity to get a benefit out of turning my lands into 2/2s, but it was just a solid 4/5 for 5, and it was also on color, so it was a pretty decent pick to have. I think it was in pack 2, and I think it was like pick 2 or 3 or something like that. We have Centaur Battlemaster, so the kind of bigger Staunch Hearted Warrior, so 3/3 for 5, and off of Heroic, he is going to get 3 +1/+1 counters on him, and I actually don't think I saw him in any of my games. Vulpine Goliath, 6/5 for 6 trample. We have Warrior's Lesson, so now we're getting into the spells that are either going to target or are going to do something for us. So Warrior's Lesson is a fantastic card that's going to trigger off Heroic. Until the end of the turn, up to 2 target creatures you control each gain whenever this creature deals combat damage to the player, draw a card. Especially good whenever you have cards that have trample as well. But Warrior's Lesson is nice because we get to target up to 2 cards and trigger off Heroic. God's Willing just to give protection, so target creature you control gains protection from the color of your choice until the end of the turn, and we get to scry 1. Ordeal of Nylea and Ordeal of Heliod, just as one-ofs. The Ordeal of Nylea, of course, going for lands and allowing us to fetch 2 basic lands from our deck and put them on the battlefield tapped after we meet the 3+1/+1 counter requirement. And Ordeal of Heliod, of course, allowing us to gain 10 life. So there was the theme of gaining back a ridiculous amount of life with this deck. And usually most games I would be up past 20, usually at the 30 range with life totals. So there were the 2 Ordeals, also 1 Savage Surge to give +2/+2 and untap a creature. Bow of Nylea, which was, I think, it was pack 3, pick 1 for me, so I opened up a bow and I drafted it immediately. Attacking creatures you control have Death Touch for 3 mana, and for 2 mana, tap, and it has its variety of modes. Usually the modes that were being used were to put a +1/+1 on target creature, so I was able to make one of my creatures big, gain 3 life, or put cards from my graveyard onto the bottom of my library and in any order. So there was that, just being able to put things on the bottom, and just in case that it happens to be a grindy match, I do still have things that I can draw into. But usually whenever I had massive life totals, it was just a matter of getting threats on the board and sticking them. Dauntless Onslaught to give 2 creatures +2/+2, again playing off of Heroic. Time to Feed, again playing off of Heroic and also allowing me to fight whenever I do have big creatures, so it allows me to fight, and then if the creature that I targeted with the initial targeting of Time to Feed dies, I do gain 3 life, which was sometimes relevant. Feral Invocation, Flash Speed, Enchantment to give +2/+2, and then we have our basics. So I was running 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 forests, and then 6 plains. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 17 lands total, which is pretty fair for me whenever I'm drafting out of this set. Usually I'm either going to be at 16 or 17, sometimes maybe 18 if I'm going very, very heavy, but nothing too unusual in terms of Theros drafting. But Green-White Heroic is definitely one of my favorite archetypes in this format. Of course, there's also a Red-White Heroic, which is just as fine, more aggressive actually. But Green-White Heroic is nice because you get to get bigger creatures and fatter creatures on the board and stick them. So there's always that, and it was definitely a fun draft. I went 3-0, ended up getting first place, and I took some store credit, of which I used to buy this Nyan Cat deck box by Ultra Pro. So I ended up getting that, and then I stored the rest of my store credit away so I can use that for events and whatnot. But thank you guys for watching this video. If you have any recent draft experiences that you would like to share, please leave them down in the comments below so other people can read them and see them. But until next time, guys, peace out.